Welcome to another edition of No Veteran Left Behind USA's Warrior Wisdom and Wellness. Now here's your host, Diane Young.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Warrior Wisdom and Wellness. I'm Diane Young, your host for the day, and I'm super excited to be here with Patricia Clason and let her explain more about Healing Warrior Hearts, what it is, the programs that it offers, and a bit about how it started. So welcome, Patricia. Thank you so much for making time for us today and being able to share with us some of the history and future of Healing Warrior Hearts.
Where would you like me to begin? At the beginning, I imagine. So the work of Healing Warrior Hearts started as the Bamboo Bridge. We were working with Vietnam veterans. There weren't any programs like this at all then. There was no Wounded Warrior or any Lone Survivor or any of the other great programs that are out there today. And so a former Vietnam veteran, Kristen Kramer, asked me if I would help him put together a program for veterans, and we called it the Bamboo Bridge. And we were doing that for many years. It evolved eventually into Vets Journey Home, which had a name that applied to any veteran. You know, as you can imagine, Bamboo Bridge, it's like, well, that fits Vietnam, but it doesn't necessarily fit Desert Storm or some of the other conflicts and areas of combat that we've had. And so we started calling it Vets Journey Home, and then in September of 2012, I started the transition into creating Healing Warrior Hearts. And so today, the work that I do, all the programs are under the main program name of Healing Warrior Hearts. Healing Warrior Hearts is a program, not an organization. We're sponsored by the Starfish Foundation in Wisconsin, and we're sponsored by Texas for Heroes in Texas. And so we sort of hit the whole country that way. People can come to the center, north or south, and participate in our programs.
Thank you. That's a lot of history right there.
Mm-hmm.
I honor you for evolving as you have with these programs and being able to serve more veterans across the country. And it was my privilege, if you will, to be able to participate in the Healing Warrior Hearts program for military sexual trauma. And it really changed my life and gave me hope again, especially when I understood how the brain responds to trauma. And I don't want to steal your thunder, so maybe I'll let you talk about the different courses that are available with Healing Warrior Hearts, not just MST, but...
Sure. There's a general retreat for all veterans called simply Healing Warrior Hearts. Then there's a version for military sexual trauma, which is what Diane was referring to as MST. And there is also, forgive my grammar if I had it wrong, we do a retreat for LGBTQ veterans, and we also do a retreat for couples at least once a year in both cities. And so we are attempting to address some of the main issues with veterans. Any veteran can come to the main program, Healing Warrior Hearts. If they come to the LGBTQ or the MST weekends, part of the assumption is that they have that issue to work on. And so we make sure that we have a staff that has experienced similar issues, as well as some civilians on staff. We always have a blended staff of veterans and civilians because one of the main concepts of the work is to bring people home to community. Many times veterans are isolated when they come back, and today, unlike World War II, for example, where a group went from a specific community, now people enlist and they are with people they may have never met before, and when they come home, they often are coming home maybe to family, oftentimes alone, sometimes not even to family. And so they need to know the community is there for them. And so that's one of the main things that Healing Warrior Hearts offers is the listening, the unjudgmental, unconditionally caring ears of community and other veterans so that they know that they're accepted. So that's basically the overview of all the programs. The one I didn't mention is Way of the Spiritual Warrior. It's been percolating for a while now, and that will probably be my late 2023 project, is getting that out and available to people.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So it's not just the open ears, that are found here at the Healing Warrior Hearts programs. It's also the open heart. And it's amazing that we come as volunteer staff and kind of sign a blank check that we intend to be open-hearted. And so many times we're introduced with something we could never have imagined. And yet every single time that situation is met with, like you said, no judgment and just open arms, open hearts. And I think that's really part of that healing process too. So I appreciate you encouraging all of that. And that really does start with the training for the volunteers. We don't just show up and wing it. We don't have to have any special training prior to that because it's so well organized and led through the entire process, which is actually part of the healing process too.
We do look for, if people are not a graduate of the program or a similar kind of program, we do look for people who have a background that allows them to be comfortable with big emotion, because sometimes the vets feel big emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's necessary for the staff to be able to hold that container, so to speak. And it's an amazing thing that happens because together, the amount of love and support and acceptance that the staff offers as a larger unit is not experienced in one-on-one therapy. Love and acceptance is experienced there, and I completely support therapy and working together with the retreats or just therapy on your own. So I'm not in any way dismissing the value of that work, but there's something different that happens when people are together for roughly 30 hours, 2.5 days, and in that space of unconditional loving. So I once said that it takes as much safety and love as it was trauma in order to heal a heart. So some of the trauma that veterans experience is pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you've got 20 people supporting you, it's a really different experience than one.
Right.
So I just want veterans who are thinking about coming to Healing Warrior Hearts to know that we do vet our staff, and that the staff is, as Diane said, very committed to being present and being non-judgmental and having compassion for what the veterans have gone through. So that's an important part of it. And that we have enough people on staff that each participant has a mentor or a guide that is responsible for kind of keeping an eye on the person all weekend long and making sure that they're doing okay, and even staying connected with them after the retreat to help them get more connected to the community and to make sure that they're doing okay afterwards. So I know of no other place that has that kind of ratio of staff to participant.
No, I don't know any other organization that can get that kind of volunteer. Thank you. And another thing I think that can prevent somebody from having the courage to come to a retreat like this is, well, will I have to share? And the answer is whatever you're comfortable with.
Right.
I really appreciate that and can attest to how open and accepting everybody is. And, part of the safety that you mentioned is because we have a confidentiality agreement and we all take that very serious. So whatever people share and among our group is safe right there. It doesn't go any further. And to your point of ongoing support, I appreciate that you did encourage us not to let our healing end there. And because of your encouragement, I went on to find more support from the local VA and then on to the vet center. and continue to volunteer and staff because of the healing that I continue to experience and witness with others. So thank you so much for, putting this program together and sharing about it today. Now, before we run out of time, is there anything else you'd like to share?
To invite anyone who'd like to come to a graduation for Healing Warrior Hearts on Sunday night of every retreat at 5 p.m., whether that's in Texas or in Wisconsin. If you go to our website, healingwarriorhearts.org, nice and simple, healingwarriorhearts.org, you'll see a list of all of the retreats. We usually have them listed at least a year out. So you can put it in your calendar and come on by. And if you're thinking about participating in the retreat and you'd like to hear from other people who have just completed it and meet some of the community, we would love to have you there. So I hope to see you sometime in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patricia. And thank you all for joining us for another episode of Warrior Wisdom and
Healing Warrior Hearts provides programs for military personnel and their families dedicated to the healing of emotional, moral, and spiritual wounds of war. For more information, you can go to https://www.healingwarriorhearts.org or email to warriorheart@starfishfoundation.org. Thank you for your service.